and the globe, and we're now moving down towards Swanage Bay. Swanage Bay is the other side of this point. This point is known as Peveril Point, and look it up on a map, alright? Peveril Point. At the end, yet another lighthouse. Okay, and I'm glad I pointed out the Isle of Wight, because it's disappeared again. Alright? No, that's not the Isle of Wight. Okay, right, let's just put everything else into perspective. The Isle of Wight should be over there. It's just coming through the haze occasionally. From Peveril Point, it goes into Swanage Bay. From Swanage Bay, it goes into Poole Bay, and right across there is Bournemouth. Alright, so that's where we've come round to. Now, Peveril Point. Does the rock look any different?
It's too far to see.
Different colour.
It's a different colour. Okay, what about underfoot?
It's all pebbles and stuff. Small rocks.
Yeah, it's not a hard rock now, is it? Look, it's gone a bit clayey, hasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, small rocks, a bit clay. Yeah, there's lots of limestone because the limestone's only just over there, so it's been brought round to make a nice little wall. But the stuff underfoot, wet clay material. Peveril Point is made of this clayey material, but it's a lot harder. Does anyone know what we call a hard clay that's almost rock-like?
Tough clay.
Tough clay. Good answer, but yeah, you're on the right lines. No?
Tough hard clay.
Tough hard clay. No, it's not. No, don't worry. No, we'll stop that one. Okay. No, any ideas? No. All right. No, that's not. No. All right.
You never taught us that.
On the right lines. All right. Okay. Anyone heard of shale?
No.
So, shale. When you bake clay, if you change clay, if you make it into a metamorphic rock, we're going to do this next week, but clay, when it gets put under heat and pressure for a long time from something like an igneous intrusion, such as a great big lump of granite coming into the area, it's all hot and molten, and it bakes the surrounding rock and it makes slate. Okay, but you also get, where it's a bit cooler and a bit further away, a little less pressure, dried out a bit, you get shale. And we've got shale here. Okay, and when shale breaks down, as does slate, it goes back to being clay. That's what's going on here. So this is made of shale, so we moved on to something, a different type of rock. It's a lot younger. We've come off of the limestone, we've come off of the Jurassic coast, and we're moving into, we're still in Jurassic,
Die hard.
moving up towards the Cretaceous age. Somebody mentioned Jurassic Park earlier, that reminds me. I forgot about that. Jurassic, everyone thinks about Jurassic Park and dinosaurs. Well, true dinosaurs weren't in the Jurassic age. It should have been called something else. It should have been called Cretaceous Park rather than Jurassic Park.
It would be too hard to remember.
It's a lynx. Anyway, it's not too bad. I don't live too far away from RAF Odium, or where they base the Chinooks, and you have one of those go across in the middle of the night. A bit noisy, those things are. Anyway, right, sorry, why digress? Right, so yeah. So the big dinosaurs that were in Jurassic Park, the movie, weren't in the right era. But Cretaceous Park doesn't kind of sound right, does it? So on the limestone you won't find those fossils, you won't find those big dinosaurs, you'll find them round the corner in Swanage Bay. That's where you'll find those. Okay, it's a different age, again, it's a lot younger, around about 60 to 80 million years. It's a lot younger than the actual Jurassic coast. Anyway, the other thing that you need to know about shale is associated with another good economic use, something that comes out of the ground that we use a lot. Oil, yeah, okay. You hear the term oil shales very extensively. When you hear the word shale, you can often hear the term oil shales. And this part of the world, you might not look it, but it's got the biggest onshore oil field in Western Europe. Hard to believe, isn't it? No evidence of it, no sign of it, There was a very small sign of it as we drove in through Corfe Castle down towards Swanage. One of the roundabouts, I think it's between the other side of Corfe, one of the roundabouts has got a sign to Wytch Farm, W-Y-T-C-H Farm, which is a BP site, and it produces 25,000 barrels a day of oil coming out the ground. They use nodding donkeys, 4 or 5 going up and down like that. 25,000 barrels a day that goes in a 10-inch diameter pipeline all the way across to Fawley. That runs down the Solent, because we're at the top of the Solent, goes into Fawley, which is opposite Southampton, and they get 25,000 barrels a day. So current price of a barrel of oil?
170.
117. 117. Okay, 100. Let's call it 120. So that's what? There's 25 million, something like that.
I didn't bring a calculator.
No, something like 25 million. A fifth of that. So another 5. So 30 million pounds a day just being pumped into Fawley, or 30 million dollars rather, because it'll be in dollars, won't it? 30 million dollars just coming out the ground. So huge economic benefits just coming out the ground. And throughout this part of the UK coastline, there's lots of little oil fields dotted around. Some of them don't warrant having a big pipeline. Some of them go into a storage tank, and an oil tanker comes along, they pump it out every now and again, and then they drive it off to the refinery. Okay, so very economic area. If there's no quarrying, it's been replaced by oil. All right, so vast reserves of it. Quite shallow depths, isn't it, if I recall? Yeah. All the information, if you want to go that way, all the information can be found on the BP website. Just type in Wytch Farm, and you've got a lot of information on there that you can find out. Right, where was I going with that one? We're going to talk about chalk. We're going to see some chalk in a moment. The oil is also associated with the chalk. Do you want to have a quick word about the chalk?
When we've spoken about the Kimmeridge shales, I think they're called the Kimmeridge shales, in which the oil originates from. The oil often migrates. Obviously, oil's fairly lighter than water, and it migrates. So it migrates upwards. And what happens is it ends up in aquifers or reservoir rocks. Okay, so rocks which are very good to store water are often very good to store oil. So what you end up with is the oil migrating from lower depths, moving upwards, being lighter than water, and ending up in a reservoir rock. And it's from that reservoir rock we then pump the oil to the surface. So you need a sequence of events where you've got some oil-rich material, okay, that needs to break down. The oil needs to migrate to a reservoir rock, and often you need a cap above that. Otherwise, the oil can just migrate to the surface and is lost to the atmosphere in various ways like that. So there's certain geological conditions that petroleum geologists look for, okay, as to likely spots for the oil to be found. Yeah, so you need a cap, a reservoir, and a origin. In this situation, we've got the chalk just there, so the chalk's laying on these Kimmeridge shales beneath, okay, and the oil, as you probably all know, is a fairly good aquifer rock. Yep. So it's also very good for containing the oil, and it's the very same chalk we see in the North Sea that enables us to extract the North Sea oil fields. Yeah, okay, over in the North Sea. So the chalk's good in two ways of being a reservoir rock. Not only is it very fractured, so the oil can live, so to speak, in the fractures and migrate through the fractures, but it's also quite porous, okay? Very porous. There's a lot of interstitial spaces between the solids in the material. Yep, so these are all very good for a reservoir material.
Brilliant. Okay, thanks. And also, the term shales and oil shales, if I recall, correct me if I'm wrong, have big, large deposits in Canada, aren't they?
I think there are, yeah.
Yeah, that's where you find the term oil shales, and they're so prevalent in Canada that they dig them out the ground, massive amounts of these oil shales which are soaked with oil. But it's not so easy for the oil, it's not very permeable, it's not so easy for the oil to come out. And then they refine and process those shales, the rock, to actually extract the oil that way. Right, okay. enough on oil. We need to talk, we've got one more big stop before lunch. We need to talk about the Isle of Purbeck, where we're on at the moment. Swanage is in an area known as the Isle of Purbeck. So that suggests an island. We've drove here, we're not on an island, okay? And we'll talk about that at the next spot, and then we'll have a lunch break. Now the next one's a good 15-20 minute walk, isn't it? To keep up. Keep up.